You know superhero movies, right? Of course you do. The flashy CGI, the billion-dollar budgets, the multiverse talk, it's all really out there right now. Today, it almost seems obvious that black kids can see themselves as heroes on screen. But it wasn't always like that. What if I told you that growing up, the first black superheroes I saw on screen were really corny? And yet, somehow, they changed the way I saw myself, and probably changed the way a whole generation of people saw themselves. What's going on, folks? My name is Johnny, aka Buddha, and I'm here to tell a little story about how superhero movies back in the 90s paved the way for the movies we have today. Let's start off with Meteor Man.
I just came by to give you a message.
Remember the Meteor Man? That campy 1993 movie starring Robert Townsend as the titular hero in Washington, D.C. He was a normal guy, but the message was serious: community, nonviolence, and hope. It spoke to black American culture in the early 90s when drugs and gangs were tearing through neighborhoods. For kids like me, it was an escape, a way to imagine fighting real dangers with powers we didn't have. The cast was stacked. They had Eddie Griffin, James Earl Jones, Big Daddy Kane, and even if the movie was a little corny, it was one of the first fantastical stories told within our culture that was accurate. We were starving for it. Then, a year later, in 1994, we got Blankman, starring Damon Wayans.
Slap me around and call me Susan.
David Alan Grier was also in this movie. Other Guy was his name, I believe. My family watched In Living Color religiously, like most families in America back then. So of course we went to the movies to see it, and honestly, we hated it. But in hindsight, the tone and style made sense for its time. The movie was intentionally campy, a nod to the 70s Batman show, with literal on-screen graphics that read, "Bam, pop, pop." I had to make sure no one was home to see me do that. For my mom's generation, casual superhero exposure was like that. So Blankman was speaking to their nostalgia while inadvertently reaching my generation too. It was for my parents. It was for the people that grew up on the campy Adam West Batman. It was not for people like me that grew up on the 89 Batman that was grounded, I guess, and gothic and dark and still kind of campy now, but you know, a lot more realistic. I mean, the movie is goofy and it's trying to be goofy. That's what they were going for, but I hated that movie. My godbrother Keenan, he had it on VHS and we would watch it at his house sometimes, you know, on rainy days when we had nothing else to do and our parents wanted to keep us quiet. And I'm sorry to throw you out there, Keenan, but I hated that movie. I hated it. Next up, in 1997, we got Steel. Shaq was one of the biggest stars on the planet in the 90s. He had albums, video games, endorsements. The man was literally the man. He also genuinely loved Superman. Everybody that knows about Shaq knows that. So when WB announced Steel, it should have been a slam dunk, but it was a brick.
I never make these.
Okay, bend your knees and follow through. Come on!
The costume was super cheap, and I think that's what I hated about it the most, because as a kid that loved to draw, the Steel costume from the comics was amazing. The acting in the movie was flat, direction was terrible, and the Superman connection was basically non-existent. You can't have a Steel movie without Superman. And you know what? Superhero movies to this day have not learned that lesson. Look at some of these Sony spin-offs. They suck. Even as a kid, I wanted nothing to do with it. I didn't beg my parents to take me. I didn't even care when it hit theaters. And I was a kid that loved all superhero stuff. That should say a lot. I was the target audience. I eventually saw it at a friend's house and I hated it so much. So much. I never went back over there. Let me be super duper clear. I will always defend Shaq Fu. Shaq Fu was fire and Keenan had that too. Now, these three movies, Meteor Man, Blankman, Steel, they were super important. Why? Why were they important, Johnny? Why? Well, they were important because they tested the waters. They weren't big budget juggernauts. They didn't have huge budgets, but they were proof of concept. Proof that there was space for black superheroes somewhere. Yeah, we didn't have any money, and yeah, our characters were kind of lame, but there's an audience there somewhere. By the mid-90s, things started to shift. America started getting a little angrier, a little edgier. Gen X was running things now, and they were super cool. The whoops, the pows, the bang, the bing. They didn't fit anymore. This wasn't that. Smiling, altruistic superheroes were a thing of the past. We were starting to get into the 90s, baby. Things were getting serious, baby. The vibe was much darker. So, we got Spawn. My Uncle Fred, my mom's little brother, was an avid comic book collector. He was the reason I even started liking comic books and reading them. I wanted to do everything he was doing. I looked up to him. I just sit and stare at the covers of his comic books. I try to copy Todd McFarlane's art style. Todd McFarlane also made some of the best action figures in the world. We had a bunch of those growing up. When they announced the Spawn movie in 1997, I was mad hyped. They casted Michael J. White. He was absolutely perfect. He knew karate, he was muscular, he looked cool. Martial arts were huge in the 90s, so casting him was genius. John Leguizamo as Clown, Violator.
Violator 1, Spotty Boy 0. Yeah. Huh.
He absolutely stole the show. The costume was amazing. He ate real maggots on a pizza. Like, come on, man, that's dedication right there. The man stole the movie. After Spawn came out, you couldn't tell me anything. I wanted every shirt, every poster. Todd McFarlane has such a grip on my imagination back then. But let's be honest, you watch Spawn today, and even back then, the CGI is absolutely atrocious. I'm sorry. Malabolgia, the big bad, he looks like a Sega Dreamcast. Boss fight, the hell sequences look like bad PS1 cutscenes. Spawn as a movie just doesn't hold up, and it absolutely deserves a reboot. They gotta get it right. And there's actually been one in development hell for quite a while. Jamie Foxx is attached to it. Todd McFarlane is attached to direct. I heard he won't give up the rights unless he directs. They're also changing the tone a little bit. They're moving away from action and going towards horror. Whatever happens, honestly, I'll be there. I just want to see what they're gonna do with the IP, because it's been sitting around doing absolutely nothing all these years. Spawn is such an important part of the 90s. I will never forgive Hollywood if they don't give it a second chance. If they fail the second time, all right, I'm out. But now we come to the real turning point in superhero movies. Not just black superhero movies in general, when in 1998, we got Blade. Wesley Snipes was the hot it guy at the time, was in all kinds of cool movies in the early 90s, knew all kinds of martial arts. He was the man, and they got him in this movie rocking leather and shades and a sword. It doesn't get more 90s than leather. He was carving through vampires like butter. The effects were on point, except for that one scene with the bullet time, but I mean, it was a precursor to bullet time in The Matrix, so it kind of did set the precedent. Blade wasn't corny, he wasn't awkward, he wasn't trying to make you laugh, even though he did it inadvertently with some of his lines.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I mean, honestly, that line makes absolutely no sense, but it sounds cool. It sounds cool. I quoted it all the time as a kid. And when Wesley Snipes says it, you believe it. Blade showed us that heroes didn't have to be campy or soft. They could be violent, they could be stylish, they could be scary, they could be cool. Cool is the key word. Everything has to be cool in the late 90s. The villains, they weren't cartoons. They were apex predators. Stephen Dorff as Deacon Frost, he was amazing. Like, he was super cool in that movie too. It was like two cool people going head to head. The whole cast brought their A game. The direction was amazing. It was really personal. I begged my mom to take me. I was 12, but the only showing was like 9 or 10 p.m. And of course, I passed out halfway through because I'm freaking 12. I woke up devastated when the credits were rolling because I had wanted to see that movie so bad, but I just could not keep my wee little man eyes open. But then when the VHS did come out and we picked it up, I wore it out. I begged for a leather jacket for Christmas that year. It was ashy after like just a few months of wearing it. But the point remains, Blade gave me something cool. This black kid who only knew superheroes through campiness and really bad CGI. They gave him something to hold on to, an identity, a way to feel cool that didn't require me being a gangster or a thug. For a black kid searching for representation, that's all you can ask for. The 90s black superheroes, the Meteor Man, Blankman, Steel, Blade, they were flawed, they were campy, they were sometimes hilariously bad, but they mattered. They were experiments, they were testing the waters of representation, of tone, of urban youth seeing themselves as the hero. Outside of the traditional norms that we were used to, the pimps, the gangsters, the drug dealers. It was just something not based in reality. Like, okay, there's another avenue to be. We take it for granted today, and I'm really, really happy that kids today are able to find superheroes that look like them. I know a lot of people get upset about it, like, oh, this movie's woke. There's a black guy, there's a girl. Listen, there's other people in the world. They deserve to see themselves on the big screen as well. Why not? We all live here. We all live on this planet. Let's see each other in different ways. Blade changed the game. Without him, there's no Black Panther. There's no Miles Morales swinging around the multiverse. There's no Storm leading the X-Men. Wesley Snipes walked so that the genre could run. And if you're like me, growing up in the 90s, you know it all started with a meteor and a guy in a really, really campy suit. That's my story. As always, stay blessed. Stay inspired, and I want you all to know that I see you. I truly, truly see you. Have a good one.
If you like this type of content from me, don't be afraid to subscribe, give a thumbs up, or even comment.